Well, everybody loves the music of Three Dog Night. Their incredible track record has stood the test of time and become part of the American culture. We're very happy today to have here with us one of the guys who crafted those incredible songs, keyboard player extraordinaire, Jimmy Greenspoon. Jimmy, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you here. Now, let's explain the dynamic of Three Dog Night for people who maybe don't understand what it was formed as. Pretty ambitious undertaking to have four powerhouse musicians fronted by not one, but three lead singers.
Right.
That's, you know, on paper, that's not going to work, but it worked immediately.
Well, actually, it worked on paper. It was Danny Hutton came up with the idea.
Okay.
And he was always innovative in the studio. He had a solo career. He had some records out in L.A. And everybody had their own separate bands at the time. He was my neighbor.
Oh, really?
In Laurel Canyon in L.A., yeah.
Okay.
And I had my band. Corey was playing at the Whiskey with the Enemies. Everybody else had their own band. And Danny had this idea and said, he came to me one night and stumbled down, or I stumbled up, whatever. And said, I've got this idea for this group with three lead singers. I went, well, that's a concept, because at the time, you know, you had
one guy,
the Doors, the Iron Butterfly. You know, one guy, you forget, you know, two would have been a novelty, but three, it's like, and I went, three singers who play what, guitars? No, they don't play, they just sing. Okay, that's interesting. So it was kind of like, you know, let me pique my interest on that one. And he said, are you in? I went, what do you mean am I in? It's like, it's just a concept and stuff. He goes, yeah, but it's going to be a great concept, and the wheels are going. We have representation, blah, blah, blah. So the group that I was with, I had been with for a number of years, playing the Sunset Strip. And I just came to them at rehearsal and said, guys, I'm quitting. I'm going with this new group. Oh, you're quitting. Who are you going with? Oh, we don't have a name. I don't know who it is. What? And I said, it's an idea, believe me, it's going to work. And they were kind of, you know, pissed off at me.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to explain to someone who wasn't around then how huge you guys were because of AM radio and Top 40. You were everywhere. There was a period of a good 5 years there where Three Dog Night was never off the charts.
Not off the charts. I mean, we'd be doing 2 albums a year, and 1 or 2 songs from the first album would be either going on or coming down the charts, and then the next album would come out and they were like crisscross and stuff. So it wasn't uncommon to have, you know, 2 separate albums, or 3, depending on the catalog at the time, and, you know, 2 or 3 singles. And the record company figured, well, gosh, if they can do that, let's just keep pumping it out.
Yeah, let's milk these guys for all they're worth. And again, because of the success of your music, you were also on television. You were on Laugh-In. You were on every major TV show at the time.
And we were one of the first groups ever to be in the Rose Bowl parade.
Right.
Which was kind of scary, because it was, you know, dark 30, cold morning. We had just come back from London, and it was like, they had to prop some of us up on, you know, on this beautiful float.
On a float.
It's like, and it was somebody's brilliant idea, but it was like, you know, good.
You're America's band. You got to do it. And so many of those songs, I mean, let's talk about the crafting of these songs. I mean, it's one thing to have a germ of an idea, a good melody, maybe some nice lyrics, but there's a lot of elements that go into having a hit single. And the first sound they hear, more often than not, was your keyboard thing. So,
keyboard stuff, But I mean, and everybody, when we searched for songs, we went for, at the time, unknown songwriters. And usually they would give us a demo that would be just, if it was Reggie Dwight, Elton John, it would be sitting at the piano and just playing a song, or Hoyt Axton with a guitar or something. So the songs were, Paul Williams would come into the studio and play some stuff, but they weren't, you know, necessarily finished. So we said, yeah, there's potential there. We like that song. And then they, you know, they'd say, well, what? Let's arrange it, and the whole band would arrange everything. The vocalist would definitely do all the vocal parts. The band members would, you know, get the instrumental parts. And more often than not, they would say, now we need some kind of a hook to come up with it.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah, we're going to dinner. Could you stay in the studio and come up with some, you know? So okay, done. Next, what?
Nice. Well, take me through that process. I mean, there's a little more to it than that. When you hear a demo that somebody does, probably on acoustic guitar, do you hear the part that you're going to put in? Does it,
not necessarily.
You have to monkey around with it?
And I'm a weird bird. I've always done stuff like that, because I started taking classical piano when I was 7. And I did a lot of improvisational jazz stuff with different piano teachers. So I didn't hear it, and it wasn't necessarily like, let's lock Jimmy in a room and see if he comes up with something. I mean, within 10 or 15 minutes, if I didn't have something, it wasn't going to happen. I would just sit down at the piano and not even give it some thought. I knew the structure of a song, so I just started playing something, and the producer or engineer would go, wow, that was great. What was that? I go, I don't know. I was just, you know, messing around. That's the intro.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
And you guys became known as having a knack for picking a single. Were there any that surprised you that thing is not now on the chart?
I've said it so often. Joy to the World surprised me.
Okay.
And this is just my personal, because we were so eclectic. We had so many different kinds of. It wasn't like certain bands like The Doors had that one sound,
right,
or Iron Butterfly. We had a song that could be a ballad or an all-out rock song or just a pop song or even a kind of a bluesy song or even a country tinge song. So Joy to the World was like almost an afterthought. We were like short of songs on the record. And they'd already put out, the first song that was off of Naturally. The first song was One Man Band.
Right.
Then we were coming off of Liar, which was a completely different kind of song, real hard rock.
Russ Ballard?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then we were, starting to work on stuff for the next album. And the record company said, hey, we're getting airplay on this Joy to the World. I was like, it was kind of a throwaway anyway. I mean, we were under the gun. Hoyt came in, played it. It's like, Jeremiah was a bullfrog? Whatever.
Really?
And it was kind of like, in my mind, and maybe some of the guys, saw some potential there. I mean, it was a cute little poppy song, but especially coming after Liar, it's like a complete 360.
Yeah.
So my thought was, we'll put it on the last track on the album or whatever. It won't see the light of day, and we'll go on to the next album. We got more and more airplay. They put it out, and it debuted at 50 or something, and then went up to number 10, and then number 1, and stayed there for 6 weeks, and got 2 Grammy nominations. We're going, there's something to this. And that was Hoyt's song. So it was funny because we were working on the next album, and he came back to the studio and said, I've got this other tune I've written for this next. We said, we don't even want to hear it. We'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah.
It was Never Been to Spain.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so.
And you talked again about being America's band. And you guys really kind of benefited from a pretty squeaky clean image. I mean, Three Dog Night, nobody out in the public really knew what was going on behind the scenes, but let's talk a little bit about that because some of your own adventures, as told in One Is the Loneliest Number, there was a lot of debauchery going on behind the scenes.
There was, yeah. I was one of the king debauchers.
Yes, you were.
Is that a word? I guess.
It is now.
It is, yeah.
Well, you were also friends with another king debaucher. Jim Morrison was a buddy of yours?
Yes, yeah.
Any favorite Jim stories you can tell us?
Yeah, that was something, and they keep reprinting it in Mojo magazine. We were at the Whiskey. I think I picked him up. We lived up and down the street from each other. And either, he didn't drive because he couldn't drive.
Thank God.
Yeah, really. It was scary enough just walking. We went to the Whiskey, and he was already 3 sheets to the wind, and I was, busy trying out for my chemist apprenticeship or something, mixing up something in my little laboratory at home. Went to the Whiskey, and we were all friends. Every band that played the Whiskey, the owners, Elmer Valentine and Mario, who was this wonderful Italian, mafioso type guy, but with bouncer, didn't take any crap from anybody.
Right.
Loved all the guys. Hey Jimmy, hey, hey Robert Plant. People come in there, respect the club, respect the waitresses, don't do anything wrong. But they were your best friend. They gave you the best table, brought over champagne and stuff. But if you stepped out of line, you were just like anybody else. They'd kick you out.
Yeah.
So, but you figure you're invincible. I'm going to go down the Whiskey and get just rip roaring drunk with Jim Morrison, and boy, the world is in my hands and stuff there. So we got a booth in the back, and I don't even know who was playing that night, and we were about maybe there 25, 30 minutes. Jim started to get on top of the table, screaming at the band at the top of his lungs, and of course he was hard to miss. So I'm sure the band's on stage going, oh my God, Jim Morrison is heckling us on top of the table. It's like, Mario comes over nicely, says, hey Jim, I'm gonna warn you once, get off the table, shut up and sit down. He sits down for a second, orders another bottle of champagne, another round of kamikazes or whatever we were drinking and stuff. And numerous trips back and forth to the bathroom. Yeah, what happened in the bathroom? These guys have to go to the bathroom.
Bladder control
anyway,
problem.
Yeah. Chemicals. So, 20 minutes later, he's back on the table screaming, and I'm screaming at him, and we're louder than the band.
Right,
Mario comes over because I told you guys. And I thought it was hysterical. I'm cracking up. I'm rolling on the floor. Next thing we know is there's a couple of hands grabbing us by the neck and throwing us out in the street. So we were 86th. That was it. I was like, wow. Lead singer for the Doors and the keyboard dude from Three Dog Night just got kicked out of the Whiskey. But that was, and next door was the London Fog where the Doors had a residency.
Okay.
2 doors up was a place called the Galaxy where the Iron Butterfly had a residency. I mean, there were always clubs dotting the Sunset Strip. So Okay, we get kicked out of the whiskey. I'm with Morrison. We've got 4 or 5 other clubs to go to. Mario picks up the phone, calls every owner, and goes, "These 2 guys are on a rampage. Do not let them in any club on the Sunset Strip." Click. Wow. So we were 86 from the Sunset Strip.
God.
Yeah.
That is notorious.
Yeah.
Well, and again, to talk about, you guys are in your 20s. The world is kissing your butt. You're millionaires. You're successful. You're on the charts. It's kind of hard, I would think, not to feel invincible at that point.
Yeah.
And you took it to some, again, the book, One is the Loneliest Number. Check it out if you can find it. Everything's great in retrospect because you're alive here today.
Right.
But it got pretty dark for a while there.
Oh, it was real dark.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw the dark side. I did the dark thing. I mean, I spent, and it's in the book, it's no secret, I spent 10 years as a heroin addict.
Right.
And which you start off as a kid, okay, you're drinking, popping some pills, you smoke some grass, it's the 60s, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would never go further than that.
Never did.
I would never do any, and then you get into the harder drugs. Well, I'd never go further than that. Then it's like, oh, and then you associated, heroin with like jazz musicians, or, I'm sitting there watching Man with the Golden Arm on TV and going, oh my God, that's just a pathetic junkie. Mm-hmm. And they're doing these horrible things just for their, for their habit. I've never, and then sure enough, a couple of years later, I'm down in, Harlem, 3 in the morning with a wad of $100 bills, where I'm in South Central LA in some seedy part of town, not really caring what's happening to me because I need to score. Mm-hmm. And stealing money and doing all the nasty things that junkies do just to support the habit. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and telling myself, God, I swore I'd never do this.
Right.
But I'm doing it.
Yeah, and it's hard to feel sorry for a millionaire rock star.
No, you can't.
But part of the problem is that you had these unlimited resources of cash.
Well, the cash, and then all the people hanging on. You
right,
had
and telling you you're okay.
Until the well went dry, and then those people you found out weren't your friends. They're gone like that.
Right. Oh, you're out of drugs. You're not as much fun anymore.
Yeah, you're useless. Goodbye.
See ya. Well, now your book was written when you were about 5 years sober, clean and sober.
It was written in '91. I was sober. I got 85.
Okay, great. So what can you tell us about what's the difference between 5 years clean and sober and 25 down the road?
That was early on. I mean, there was no difference. I mean, the difference was for me and in rehab. I mean, there were so many people who came in and out multiple times. And to their credit, they, if they slipped, they went back into rehab. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it didn't work that way. Sometimes they died. Sometimes they got into an accident. My roommate in rehab, a sweet little kid, and they teach you to do everything in rehab and stuff there. So, and he was a slob, and I'm just a neat freak. So every day he would get up and go off to one of the group therapy things or something, and I go to do my stuff. I'd make his bed, I'd fold his clothes, I'd do all the stuff because I just could not stand to be in a room with somebody who was just like, And then after about maybe 3 or 4 weeks, one day he caught me doing that. He goes, "Jimmy, why are you making my bed? The maids do that." I go, "This is not a country club. This is rehab. I'm the maid."
Yeah, I'm the maid.
"You've been doing it all along." I went, "Yeah." Sweet kid, but naive. Yeah. And he figured he was in there to detox, and he was, he didn't want to go with the program, do all that stuff. So he went out, and I guess we went back for follow-up meetings with all the people to see how everyone's doing. And I said, "Well, such and such, I forgot his name right now, but Steve. What's happened to Steve? He's not here." I go, "Oh, you didn't hear. He went out and got really drunk. He hit a car head on, killed himself and a family of 5. So I mean, that's the reality slaps you in the face. And you go, okay, that's, you're playing in fire, you're going to get burned.
Well, and again, the good thing is you're clean and sober all these years. 3 Dog Night, you guys are touring pretty regularly.
We do, close to about between 60 and 80 shows a year.
16. Also, 3 Dog Night is going to be back in the Chicagoland area, July 3rd at Festival Park in Elgin. Just found out about. Check that out. Jimmy Greenspoon, we want to thank you for doing what you do. We want to keep on doing what you do. We love 3 Dog Night. We love to hear about it. We're looking forward to the Doors thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.